Hello, I'm Deborah Sword. If you've taken a conflict resolution or communication course or read any of the excellent books on how to manage conflict, you've probably learned the difference between I messages and you messages. A you message is, for example, you were late or you didn't finish that task. The common advice is to avoid you messages because they place blame, they feel controlling, and they sound judgmental. Instead, it's suggested that you use iMessage. An iMessage states what I observe, how I feel about it, and what I need. An iMessage sounds something like, when this happens, I feel this way about it, and I request this instead. In theory, iMessages improve communication and often serve the goal of letting the other person know what I believe they need to change. In other words, it's about the other person's change. Conflict competence involves a slight shift in direction to what you can control. For example, a listener told me about a recent conflict between her and her husband. They have three young children. After a full day at work, dinner was over. She loaded the dishwasher while dealing with a toddler who was demanding attention. Then her husband said, "You loaded the dishwasher wrong." She exploded with you messages, such as, "Well, you weren't helping." If she followed the I messages framework, she'd say something like, when someone comes in after I've done something to say I did it wrong, I feel hurt and prefer they do it themselves in the first place. Or maybe she'd have said, I notice I'm doing childcare and cleaning the kitchen. Which of those tasks would you prefer to do from now on? On the surface, those I messages are non blaming, but people can feel blamed even when it's indirect. In this case, the husband responded, Hey, I was only trying to help get the dishwasher loaded right. I wasn't criticizing you. I work hard too, you know. Her iMessage set up a power struggle that shifts the issue from the dishwasher to who does more work, works harder, and is more controlling. She feels criticized, he feels misunderstood, and each of them attributes bad intention to the other person. What if the husband had used an iMessage in the first place? Instead of you loaded the dishwasher wrong, he might have said, I noticed the way you loaded dishes won't get them clean. The bowls go on the top rack. Now, unless he's going for gold in a dishwasher loading competition, that iMessage just gift wraps blame, control, and judgment in nicer words, which works okay for informing her about his expectations, or if he has power to control how she loads the dishwasher, or she's willing to change her technique to please him. For everything else, I suggest a conflict competence strategy. In other words, the issue of loading the dishwasher is the presenting issue, the issue on the surface. And the real issue is something different, something probably bigger that bubbles under the surface. In episodes 33 and 41, Tyson and I discuss how people get distracted from the real problem. So after you finish listening to this episode, please do go and listen to those two, 33 and 41. So if the husband had said, You're loading the dishwasher wrong, she had a choice of responses to feeling unappreciated and criticized. The conflict competent approach might offer mutual improvement. She might have said, I'll accept that your opinion about how I load the dishwasher comes from a good place if you accept that I'm doing the best I can when I'm exhausted, have a demanding child attached to my leg, and I've been the person in the kitchen cleaning it. Or she could respond, I'm really tired, the baby needs attention, and I'm happy to let you rearrange the dishwasher the way you think it should be. I won't take it personally if you do it better than I do. The first conflict competency here is to distinguish between the presenting issue and the real issue. How the dishwasher gets loaded is the surface issue. The real issues are about childcare, rest after a long day at work, a battle for control, and feeling unappreciated. The second conflict competency here is redirecting their energy to get shared needs met. Instead of, don't control or criticize me, express how to give each other mutual support by attributing good intentions instead of bad, and assume that each of them is doing the best they can individually and they can do even better for the family as a team effort. The third conflict competency is that I messages rather than you messages have a place when you want to express your need clearly, and the other person will hear it better if it isn't an accusation that they're wrong. The difference is small and important. The I message comes from a place of complaint about a deficiency with a request for change. The conflict competent message comes from a place of mutual support about shared responsibility with a request for positive communication. To deepen relationships and be more conflict competent, you can use positive language that attributes good intention to each of you and that offers mutual reciprocal support for seeing the best in each other. Don't forget there is a difference between I messages and you messages, and they do have their place. And there is another approach in addition to that. Thanks for listening. I hope you'll subscribe to our podcast, like it, share it, suggest topics that you might like to hear about, leave comments. We love to hear from you. Thanks again for listening.